Hello, in this video I'm going to be talking about how I got into the Japanese train driving game series Densha de Go, how I beat the first game in the series, which is usually considered kind of clunky and unfair and dated, and why I enjoyed it despite that reputation, and kind of talk about a little bit about like approaches to game design and comparing like arcade sensibilities to home play approaches. So if you've been looking for something to fall asleep to tonight, you've hit jackpot. This is it. But as they say, you can't be universal without being personal and specific. So even if you're not in this like smallest of small niche that I occupy here, maybe you'll find something interesting in this video. So I think I'll start off by giving you like a brief overview of the series and how it plays, and then kind of talk about my journey with the games. So Densha de Go is a series developed by the Japanese legendary studio Taito. It originated in the arcades in 1996, and it was a very popular game, and it became a popular series, like with many installments coming out in the arcades, and like I think 5 games coming out for the PlayStation 1. Like some of them are ports and some of them are like original games for the PS1, and I think there's something like 5 games for the PlayStation 2 as well. So around maybe like, I don't know, 10 mainline games in the span of like 10 years or so. So it was a pretty big thing in Japan, and only in Japan, because they never released any of the games outside of the country. But inside of Japan, very popular. And this series kind of, it had its heyday, and it came to a stop with the Densha de Go final in 2004, which came out for PS2 and PC, and after that there was kind of a big gap between releases. But in 2017, surprisingly, Taito developed a new arcade game with like modern graphics and stuff, and actually a kind of a port or a kind of a version of this arcade game has been released for the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch in 2020. So it's a game that you can buy right now. It's only on the Japanese, you can only do it on the Japanese stores, so you need to have a Japanese account, and you need to, well, because the game is in Japanese, there's a kind of learning curve. Maybe if you can't read the language, you need to use a little bit of Google Lens and stuff to figure out how it plays. But once you get into it, the language is not a barrier, but there is a kind of an initial barrier for getting into the series. And the actual gameplay is pretty simple, but of course, in that simplicity, there is a kind of a complexity lying in waiting or in hiding, you could say. So basically, like the different entries in the series have their own quirks and like kind of little additions or things that they do differently, but the basic thing is the same. So you drive a train, and there's a schedule that you need to follow and kind of a route that you do. And basically it means that you go from stop to stop in time. You stop at the stations in the kind of the space allotted for you, and you don't go over the speed limits. You honk your horn where you go into a tunnel, these kinds of things. But basically there's only like, the only inputs that you do is that you kind of you have your speed that you increase, and then you have brakes, and there's like different levels of speed and brakes, and like by managing those, you kind of try to follow the speed limits and go as fast as you need to without going over. And then when you approach the station, you know when to brake in time, and stop at that magical 0 points, like the 0 centimeter stop, which is kind of the perfect stop that you can do, which is very difficult. So there's kind of a weird, you could say, like tension in the series or in the games, where it's simultaneously like very relaxing and very nerve-wracking, because like a lot of the time you just kind of chill because, you know, you leave the station, you get on the speed that you need to be at, you kind of follow, like maybe there's kind of you add some speed, you pump some brakes. It's kind of, you know, chill for the most part, and then you get to the station and suddenly it's like, ugh, you need to be very precise, and if you go over it can be kind of catastrophic and stuff. And so there's kind of this push and pull between it being like relaxing and like very involved. So it's a very kind of interesting piece of game design, I would say. It's kind of really what's, you know, for me, I'm not like I'm not a train person. I'm not into trains, and I'm not into like simulation games. But I am into, like, I'm interested in Japan, Japanese culture, Japanese video games. So it's kind of cool for me to able, because the routes and the trains and everything, they're based on real things, real locations. So the games are true to life. In that sense, there's like the scenery and the places and everything involved with that. And then there's the kind of the Japanese kind of, you could say, like old school approach to game design. Like I think like 90s, early 2000s maybe was like a golden age for kind of Japanese games where they, you know, they do things really earnestly, even if they have kind of a weird game concept, or not necessarily weird, but it's kind of surprising. Like, why make a game about driving trains? But they do it like really well, and all the details are there, and it's very well executed. But also there's this kind of self-awareness that they know that it's kind of funny that you're playing a game where you're driving a train. So there's kind of there's this kind of appeal, like, to people who are into Japan and Japanese stuff. Then there's this kind of fun vibe where it's very earnest, but also kind of self-aware at the same time, kind of funny. And then there's the actual gameplay, which is it's like like there's like complexity in a very simple sets of mechanics. And it's interesting how they kind of, depending on the game, they articulate differently. So at first, when you get into it, it may seem like all the games are very similar, and they are in a way, but there's like there's kind of in different games, like, yeah, there's a different feel to them, let's put it this way. And that's actually a good segue into what I wanted to talk about next, which is like me getting into the series, because, you know, I've been aware of Densha de Go for a while, but I was like, yeah, like driving trains is not my thing. Like I don't need to play this. But I was watching some YouTube videos, and I don't know, the games just kept coming up on my feed for some reason. I was like, there's something like kind of, I don't know, I was enjoying the vibe, let's say, and I was like, it's just a funny concept, and, you know, maybe I should try some of this. And then I kind of ended up researching it a little bit, and I saw that a lot of people recommend Densha de Go Final for new players of the series, and it's usually considered to be kind of the best entry in the series as a whole. Like, there's lots of routes, there's quality of life stuff, there's lots of things to do. It's kind of polished, like it's the complete package, you could say. And very importantly, there is a English translation patch for the PC version of the game. So very useful if you don't read Japanese. I understand a little bit of Japanese, but you know, the terminology involving trains and speed limits and those kinds of things, not really my area of expertise. So the translation patch is very much welcome. So yeah, I started playing Densha de Go Final, and it was kind of weird because I was both enjoying it and feeling kind of underwhelmed, because I really got into the push and pull that I was talking about, where it's kind of both relaxing and tense at the same time, and stopping at the stations was so exciting. But also there was kind of like the game was a little bit boring, I must say. Maybe it was like I don't know, it just felt like I didn't need to do that much, and I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe there was like maybe I was expecting more of a twist or something that I didn't kind of like expect beforehand, but it really was just like going from station to station and picking up people, following speed limits. And you know, in Densha de Go Final, when you make mistakes, there's kind of a health bar. There's usually a health bar in the different titles of the series, but it's done in different ways. But like if you like brake too suddenly at the station, you got like people leave the train and stuff. But I don't know, it was fun, but something was missing. And I wasn't quite sure what it was. I was kind of cruising and doing missions and it felt fine, but yeah, something was missing. And then like it was underwhelming, but it was also a little bit overwhelming because there were so many routes in the game and it wasn't kind of clear like how they differentiate. Like there could be like, yeah, you go like 5 stations, or you do the 5 stations and some additional stations. And I wasn't quite sure like of the progress I was making maybe. And so I don't know, something didn't sit right with me. So I was like, maybe I should try out some other games in the series. And I kind of started gravitating towards the very first entry because I was like this is the beginning of the series. Like maybe I should go back to the very beginning and, you know, go to the kind of meat and potatoes stuff, the very fundamentals, and kind of go from there. And what appealed to me also is that the game only had like 4 routes, which is basically like 4 levels. So it was very like contained, which like if you really get into the series, obviously you want lots of routes and lots of missions. But for me, like starting out, it was like, hey, yeah, I can do it. Like maybe if I can learn these 4 missions, then I can kind of understand what the series is about and whether I enjoy it or not. And like going to the first I was actually playing the PlayStation 1 port, but I believe it's a pretty accurate port of the very first arcade game. So it's basically the arcade game. So going from Densha de Go Final, which is kind of the final evolution of Densha de Go, not counting the more recent arcade game, and going to the very beginning, it was kind of a shock because it was much harder. Like in Densha de Go Final, I think you have like, when you stop at the stations, there's like a 10-meter window that you are allowed to stop at. And in Densha de Go 1, it was only like 4 meters. And you also have like you could say like a health system or a hit point system. But instead of like people leaving the train, you have like timer. Well, not a timer, but it's a kind of amount of time. It's called waiting time in the first game. And it's kind of like if you're not on schedule, if you arrive at the station late, then the seconds that you're late are deducted from your like hit points or your waiting time. Or if you mess up the stop, you get a huge penalty. Or if you go over the speed limit, you again get a penalty. So, and it was much more exact. So it was kind of, but what happened that it made me engage with the game more. I was like, even just doing the first mission, which is kind of well, it's not a tutorial, but something that gets you into the game. I think it's something like 10 minutes long-ish. And, you know, I had to like, it took me a couple of tries. It wasn't like super difficult, but it made me concentrate and figure out like, yeah, I really need to be like careful with the stop, and I need to honk my horn when I enter a tunnel because that gets you some more waiting time, which is basically more like hit points and stuff. So yeah, there was something like captivating about the game, even if it was kind of a little rough, a little like clunky, or I don't know, a little simple. And the visuals, though I really enjoy like PS1 games and how they look, it is a little rough because it's so pixelated and stuff. But yeah, I did the first mission and I was like, yeah, cool, let's go on the second mission. The second mission is the Keihin Tōhoku line. And I started out and it's like, okay, there's a lot more stops here. It's like, instead of like 10 minutes, it's more like 20 minutes. And so I started playing, and very quickly I just lost. Like, I was arriving late at the station. Like, it was very difficult to make the stops because I needed to be like, I needed to be driving faster to follow the schedule and stuff. And I was like, okay, what's happening here? And so I decided to do like the thing that I learned to do with arcade shoot 'em up. So a couple of, if you're here from my shoot 'em up channel, which I'm guessing most of you are, and you know that I like playing arcade shoot 'em ups. And the way that you learn them, at least in this day and age, is that you set up save states, and then you kind of divide the game into sections. Like you learn stage 1, you learn the stage 1 boss, you learn stage 2 boss, and then you piece the whole game together. And then when you try to do the like complete run without continues, maybe you notice like, hey, this spot is giving me a lot of trouble, or this boss is just too difficult. And then you go in and maybe you look for different strats, or you practice some more, and then again return to doing runs. So I thought like, yeah, hey, I'll set up some save states for this mission 2 of the game, and like kind of try to do like well enough between each station. And still it wasn't enough. Like it was like, I think I was playing pretty well, and I was just bleeding time throughout the mission. And it's just like, it just felt weird. I was like, I don't think I'm playing that badly. Like, is there something I'm missing? Then I went on to YouTube and watched some like long plays of the game. And I watched one long play, and there was something weird about it, because the player like kept doing like this perfect stops like every time and doing everything perfectly, and I was like, okay, this person is like a machine. But you know, I checked out his channel, and he has a lot of long plays, and he also has long plays of shoot 'em ups. And if you play enough shoot 'em ups, you can instantly see when somebody is cheating while doing a long play, because they play completely differently from how the games are supposed to play. Like you can see that they don't know the fundamental strategies, and they do like these insane dodges that nobody is actually able to do, because they play with save states or slow motion. And I was like, okay, maybe this person is, I'm not saying it's cheating, but it's kind of suspicious. So I did some searches on the kind of Japanese side of YouTube, and I found some videos there, and it was like, those weren't like so perfect, but the players were really good, but I don't think they were cheating. And there wasn't really anything special. Like they just kind of arrived on time and did the stops better than me and everything. And I was like, okay, maybe there is just, I don't know, maybe I just need to kind of lab it out, as they say in the fighting game scene, I believe. And so I just kind of returned to the game, I returned to the mission, and then what I would do is I would kind of try to do every kind of stop, or not stop, but every kind of routes, or the distance between the stations, like as well as I, like as fast as I could, and just practice doing the stop. And so what ended up doing is that it became kind of an obsession for a while, and I think I spent something like 8 hours on that single mission, where I would like kind of try to perfect, like using save states, and like if I speed, like if there's a speed limit that I know is coming, I write it down for myself, and then I just hit the absolute maximum that I can. And once I hit the speed limit, maybe I brake instantly, and I can just maximize every opportunity to get more speed. And then also just practice how to arrive at the stations. Like if I'm at like 200 meters from the station and I'm doing like 60 kilometers per hour, then I should put my brake into like the 7th gear, or whatever it's called. And then when I approach, when it's like 80 meters from the stop, I pump it to 8. Like these things, like creating like these formulas and kind of a map for myself, because also the game's kind of stingy about, it doesn't show you everything beforehand. So you either need to memorize some of the speed limits, or like surprises, or you need to write them down, like I did. So I just went through the whole mission, and I've kind of created almost kind of like a guide for myself, because I couldn't find a guide online. And it was actually kind of fun, because usually like every game is documented so well, and you have guides for every kind of game. I'm sure there are the guides in Japanese, but those are harder to find and read also. So yeah, I was just going through the mission. I was kind of finding out how to maximize the speed, how to get more waiting time, like finding those secret places where you honk your horn like to a worker or something, and then suddenly you get some waiting time. And then I went back to doing full runs, and you know, surprising things would happen, like the weather would change and it would be raining, and suddenly like the instructions that I had written for myself, I had to adapt on the fly because it takes a longer time to break. So I ended up doing what I have done with playing like arcade shoot 'em ups, where I practice, I route, create a route for myself, then I go and do full runs, then go back into practice mode, like develop my route some more, and then go back to doing runs. It's basically like, if you're not familiar with arcade games, it's basically like speed running, but instead of speed, you just go for what we call in the shoot 'em up world, we call survival. So it's just, you want to clear the game on one continue or without using any more additional continues. So it was kind of, and you know, if I hadn't had the experience with shoot 'em ups that I've had with the past, I don't know, 3 years or something, I would have never understood how to play this game, because what would have happened is that I would have played started up the game, played the first mission, then went to the second mission and like thought that it was just like it's just impossible. Like, it's not like, what is this? It's like for obsessive people. Well, I guess I am obsessive now, but obsessive for like, I don't know, 8 hours of obsessive play. I think that's not too obsessive yet. So yeah, without the experience with like arcade shoot 'em ups, I wouldn't have understood kind of the arcade mentality of how to approach these games. Like, obviously you didn't have save states back in the day, but then like in Japan, I believe there was like there was more of like a scene, like you could go and watch other better players play, and you could learn like from the things that they do, or you could talk with them, or there could be like actual like notebooks where people could like leave tips or something. So that world is not accessible to me. But you know, nowadays we have things like save states, and that just makes for me, it makes the experience just way more richer and interesting, where you can really kind of go into the nitty-gritty and explore the game, and then put it all together, and then create this magical run, which you then record, and then you can show it to other people. And so it was a really intense experience doing the Keihin Tōhoku line mission, and when I finally got it, it felt amazing. It felt like I went from like an impossible seeming task to kind of like piece by piece, like breaking it down and honing my execution, and then finally putting it all together, where I did everything right, and I did the stops, and it cleared, and it was awesome. And I just like loved my time with it. And then I did the other two missions. It turned out that the second mission is way harder than the rest of them. Well, of course, I was also learning the game during that mission, but like mission 3 and 4, I think it's like the Yamanote line and maybe the Sun In line. Oh, I can't remember it. But the others like took maybe a couple of hours or something. So yeah, so basically the Densha de Go 1 experience was just playing the one route almost. Like I think I spent like 12 hours on the game, of which like 8 were on the Keihin Tōhoku line. But it was also cool because it was really immersive, and it really felt like I completed a journey, and I kind of almost role played a real train driver. It didn't feel like a game, though it was very gamified, and the way that I approached it was very gamey. But yeah. I was just kind of fully engrossed in the experience, and that's just the best things in video games, honestly. And coming back to Densha de Go Final, and I've been playing a little bit of other games in the series. Mostly, I've been playing the newest release, which is for the I have for the PlayStation 4. I think it's called like Densha de Go Hashirō Yamanote-sen, maybe, because it's focused on the Yamanote line, which is the very famous like circular train route in Tokyo. And I've really enjoyed, there's like cool additions in that game where you need to like, when there's the train approaching, you need to shut off your lights, or there's more like things where you need to use your horn. There's like additional mechanics that I really enjoy. There's something strange about the structure because it has like a campaign mode, which has like lots and lots of missions. They're kind of small, not too difficult, and I don't know, it's just kind of, it feels to me like they're just remixing the same like thing over and over again and making it where it's not, where you really don't need to learn it that well, and that's okay. But I think like getting into arcade games in the past couple of years, like shoot 'em ups and now like clearing a game like Densha de Go 1, it has really changed my thinking about video games and how I enjoy video games. Like now I really, like earlier I would have really loved doing the like kind of this mission mode or campaign mode where I just, you know, just go through a mission, another mission, another mission. And now it feels strangely empty to me. Like it feels kind of pointless, which is kind of, it feels bad to say because that's kind of the way that video games are mostly. But you know, I've gone back and learned this completely different way of approaching video games, where it's like this small but very dense, very condensed experience where, you know, a mission like the Keihin Tōhoku line in Densha de Go 1, it takes only 20 minutes to play, but it takes 8 hours to learn. And it's like, after I did it, it's just, I have this urge to talk about it. I feel the urge, this is why I'm making this video, even though, you know, I don't know, like, like who else is interested in this stuff. I hope some people are, because I became so intimate with the game. And it's not, you know, it is about the challenge, but it's also about having this kind of like this smaller experience that you get really intimate with. As I said, it doesn't need to be super difficult, but the challenge is kind of, it's a tool to get you involved with the game. But because the game isn't, or like a route isn't that long, or like a shoot 'em up, arcade shoot 'em up, like one loop is usually 20 minutes, it's manageable, like even if it's very difficult, instead of like this really long experience, which is mostly not really that challenging, or where you escalate bit by bit by bit by bit. I just want the complete thing, like give it to me right away and let me like chip away at it, try to learn it, and like feel completely overwhelmed at first, and then just kind of I don't know, getting into it and mastering it, I guess, which is a really satisfying feeling. And it's not like every game needs to be like that, or that everybody needs to enjoy games this way, but I don't know, getting into Densha de Go 1 has really kind of brought these things like into the kind of foreground of my mind, or however you say it, where it's like I really noticed this change in myself and what I want from a video game experience, which is less of this like really long drawn out thing where I'm just kind of completing a checklist or completing like mission by mission by mission, and instead I want this kind of block that I just kind of drill into, I guess. And it feels really cool because now that I have now I understand how to approach arcade games, I can go back to games that let's say that that I've been aware of for like 20 years or more, but that I've never really known how to play. Like recently, I started playing Super Monkey Ball because, you know, I've played it from time to time in the past, and I think it's fun. But again, I think like with if you play the original Super Monkey Ball, it has like a beginner, you could say like beginner route, which is 10 really easy missions, and then you have advanced mode, which is 30 missions. And they're pretty difficult. And it's like, again, the point is kind of complete those 30 missions without using a continue. And before getting into arcade games, that would have been a completely insane, like an ordeal in my mind. But now I understand the process, and I went in and I kind of went through it stage by stage, and I practiced the stages that gave me the most trouble. And then I managed to complete it in like maybe 2 or let's say 3 hours, and it was such a rewarding and a cool experience. So yeah, so games like Densha de Go and Super Monkey Ball have made me really excited actually about going back and exploring other arcade games in this way, which hasn't been possible for me before because I just didn't understand how to play these games, and now this is the way that I want to play video games. Yeah, I guess that was what I wanted to talk about. This is a pretty long video. I hope that you are fully asleep by now, and if you are, maybe like maybe the next day you can come back to this video and watch some parts again, like try to see where you fell asleep, and maybe if if this kind of creates any thoughts or any introspection in you, please feel free to share it in the comments. So thanks so much for watching, and I don't know, next time maybe I'll talk more about Monkey Ball, or I don't know, something else. Yeah, thanks and bye.